The alien council sat in silence. Their cold, metallic eyes watched the giant screen as flames covered another world. Screams echoed through the chamber, twisted sounds of pain, fear, and final breaths. Another planet. Another species gone. Tall alien in a long robe stood slowly. His voice was calm, emotionless. That was the ninth world. The test is complete. He turned to the others. Project Zorith has done what it was built for. All nodded. Begin the Earth phase, the leader said. Let's see if the humans can survive it. Across the stars, deep inside a massive warship, something woke up. It was not alive, not fully, but it could move. It could learn. It could kill. Project Zorith was a biomechanical weapon made from steel, bone, and captured minds. It studied pain. It read fear like a book. It adjusted to weakness. If one strategy failed, it created another. Each species had fallen in different ways. Some were crushed, some were burned. Others simply gave up and begged. But humans were not like the others. The warning came through. Earth's satellites like a shadow in space, a dark shape, bigger than any ship seen before. It didn't fire, it didn't speak, it just hovered. Nations panicked. Radios screamed across the globe. But Earth did not surrender. Instead, a message was sent back. We're sending Black Ridge. Deep beneath a secret base in Alaska, 6 soldiers stood in a cold steel room. No windows, no noise, just breathing. Slow and calm. Captain Reyes checked his rifle, though he didn't need to. It was already perfect. Like everything he did, beside him, Sergeant Cole stretched his arms and cracked his neck. So this thing killed 9 species. Yeah, Reyes replied, and they're hoping it kills us too. And what if it doesn't? Reyes smirked. Then we laugh. The drop pod opened like a giant steel egg in the center of the alien. Warship, smoke hissed, lights flashed, and 6 shadows stepped out. The alien watchers leaned forward in their chairs. This was the moment. They expected fear, screaming, maybe even surrender. But instead, they heard something else: laughter. The humans were laughing. Captain Reyes looked around at the twisted walls of the ship. It was dark, wet, and pulsing, almost alive. Sergeant Cole poked a strange bone sticking out of the floor. Gross. Lynn wiped a smear of slime from her helmet. Definitely alien, but not scary. The weapon reacted. The walls shifted. The lights turned red. A wave of sound hit the humans like a scream. It wasn't just noise, it was pressure, designed to crush the mind, make thoughts slip, make the brave fall to their knees. But the soldiers just stood there. Reyes looked up, almost bored. That all you got? Suddenly, the floor opened beneath them. Black Ridge dropped into a new chamber, this one covered in mirrors. But in each mirror, they didn't see themselves. They saw their worst fears. Cole saw his brother dead in a field. Lynn saw her mother crying, blaming her. Reyes saw nothing, just a black, endless void. The air turned heavy. The fear was real, but none of them moved. Seen worse in training, Cole said. Yeah, Len agreed. That week in the Arctic was worse than this. Reyes walked to the center. He stared at the largest mirror. You're trying to break our minds, he said to the air. But humans don't break that easy. The mirrors cracked. The weapon. Try it again. The room went silent, then cold, then hot. Fire burst from one wall, ice from another. Gravity flipped. Time slowed. The floor shook like it was breathing, but still. They walked forward. Above them, the alien council watched in silence. One of the commanders whispered, they should be screaming. They should be dead. But they weren't. They were moving toward the heart of the weapon. Inside the final chamber, it waited. A massive figure, part machine, part creature, stood like a nightmare. Dozens of arms, dozens of eyes, and in its chest, a glowing red. Core dot, it roared. Reyes didn't blink. That's it. I've seen video games scarier than this. Cole raised his weapon. Permission to make it uglier, Captain? Reyes gave a nod. The team opened fire. Explosive rounds, plasma knives, shock grenades. But the weapon adapted. Arms became shields. The floor became spikes. One soldier, Private Dax, was nearly hit, but rolled out of the way just in time. Then, the weapon changed. It stopped fighting. Instead, a small door opened near the back. Lynn saw it first. Captain, that looks like a cage. Inside was a child, Not human. Small, gray skin, glowing eyes, shaking. They ran to it. Reyes lifted the creature into his arms. "You okay?" It looked at him with wide eyes. "They trapped me. I made the core. You built the weapon." "No," the child whispered. "I was the heart. My pain powered it." Reyes looked at the others. "That's why it didn't work on us. We don't fear pain. We survive it." The weapon's voice filled the chamber. "You were not supposed to resist. You were not part of the pattern." Reyes stepped forward. "We're human. Patterns don't work on us. We're chaos in boots." The alien council heard everything. Panic spread through their ranks. "This can't be," one whispered. "They're laughing at our greatest weapon." Back inside the chamber, the weapon's eyes dimmed. "I don't understand," it said. "Why do you not fear me?" Reyes placed a hand on its cold surface. "Because you were made to break logic, and we don't follow logic. You used fear, pain, tricks. We've lived through worse." "I was built from suffering," it said. "But now I feel something else." "What?" "Curiosity." Reyes smiled. "That's the beginning of change." Suddenly, alarms blared. The alien ship began to shake. Cole checked his scanner. Enemy reinforcements. "Looks like they didn't like that we broke their toy." "Time to leave," Lynn said. They moved fast, carrying the child, guiding the weapons core offline. The pod launched just as the ship started to fall apart, back on Earth. News spread like wildfire. The ultimate alien weapon had failed, had laughed, and walked away stronger. At the debrief, a general asked Reyes, "How did you survive?" Reyes leaned back in his chair. "We didn't just survive," he said. "We taught it something." "What?" He smiled. "That humans aren't a species you crush. We're the storm you don't see coming." Dark clouds rolled over the island as Captain Reyes and his team jogged in silence. The wind stung their faces, and the sand beneath their boots shifted like quicksilver. This was no ordinary exercise. The Black Ridge unit had trained here for weeks enduring storms, hunger, and isolation. Yet as Reyes glanced at Sergeant Cole, he saw a familiar calm in his eyes. "Remember the drill," Reyes said, voice low. "We stay in formation. We don't break." Cole grinned. "Formation, sir. And then what?" Reyes shrugged. "Then we laugh." Lightning split the sky, and the rain began. Cole sprinted ahead, weaving through the fog. Private Lynn and Corporal Vega followed, water dripping from their gear. A heavy gate swung open. Beyond lay a cavern carved into the rock. The training ground was inside. A booming voice echoed. "Simulation begins now." Bright lights flashed. Figures in hazmat suits lurked with paintball guns. But these were not ordinary paintballs. They released a mild nerve agent that caused panic and hallucinations. Behind glass, military brass watched monitors, waiting for the first soldier to crack. Lynn took a deep breath. "Like real war, but fun." Vega rolled her shoulders. "I prefer fun over real any day." They sprinted forward. Cole fired his rifle at a moving dummy. The suit turned red. Lynn pressed on, heart pounding, as the cavern walls flickered with projections, ghostly shapes that whispered damnation. Vega swung her knife at a shadow that lunged like a living nightmare. Reyes moved with precision, scanning every corner. He took a shallow breath, letting the nerve agent wash over him. His vision blurred, and voices overlapped. "Give up. Run, you cannot win." But he forced his heart to slow. He focused on the drill. Step, aim, fire. Step, aim, fire. Behind the glass, the brass frowned. "Agent levels at 10%, one officer said. "They should be panicking." Another shook his head. "They're used to this. Increase the dose." A technician twisted a dial. The air grew thicker. Cole's eyes bulged. He fired wildly at a wall that seemed to shift. Lynn's knees wobbled. As she saw her mother's face in the shadows, blaming her for something she could not fix, Vega's breath hitched, and she staggered in till she remembered the drill. "Formation!" she shouted. "Cole Reyes." Cole blinked. He blinked again. The vision shattered. He realized he was alone and crumpled against a rock. He pushed himself up, scanning for Reyes. The captain strode into view, calm as ever. Cole laughed. A deep, honest laugh that cut through the haze. "You son of a... You really can't scare us, can you?" Reyes patted him on the shoulder. Never. Have the cavern lights went dark. A single spotlight shone on them. A hidden door creaked open. They had finished the drill. They had survived. Back on the alien ship, the weapons core processed every second of that flashback. It ran algorithms. On human endurance and fear thresholds, it noted the laughter. It logged the calm. It marked them anomalous. The weapon activated its next phase. Reyes and his team stood, 2 meters apart, in a circular chamber lined with translucent panels. Beyond those panels, they could see the void of space, distant stars blinking like distant lanterns. The floor felt damp, as though alive. An electric hum pulsed under their boots. "Stay sharp," Reyes said. "This isn't training." Cole wiped his wet hair from his eyes. "Got it." Lynn gripped her sidearm. "No nerve agents this time," Vega rounded. Her shoulders, just pain, fear, and regret. A low voice filled the air, mechanical, cold, precise. "Welcome, humans. You face your final test." The panels lit up one by one, projecting scenes from each soldier's mind. Lynn saw herself alone in a rain-soaked alley, begging for help. Cole saw his brother's funeral. He could smell the flowers and feel the hot tears. Vega saw her father's disappointed face. Reyes saw the endless void again. The hum thickened into a roar. The floor vibrated, the chamber tilted, then flipped. It was a hall of mirrors, infinite reflections of nightmares. The weapon fed on their fear, calculating how to crush them. Cole staggered. His reflection split into dozens of brothers dying in different ways. He braced himself, fists clenched. "I remember their voices," he whispered. But they didn't die in vain. Vega faced her perfect father's gaze. She swallowed. "You taught me to fight, even when I feared you most." Lynn watched her younger self, crying in darkness. She lifted her chin. No more crying. Reyes stepped forward, touching the mirror as if greeting an old friend. "Mirrors lie," he said softly. "We make our own truth." Suddenly, the mirrors shattered. Crystal shards rained down. Each splinter reflected their faces, strong, unbroken. The chamber snapped back to normal. The weapon waited. Reyes pressed his palm to the wall. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a narrow corridor. The team moved as one. They advanced with steady steps, weapons raised but hearts calm. A low growl echoed down the hall. Boreal light spilled into the next chamber. The air smelled of ozone and burnt metal. In the center stood a metal sphere as tall as a person. Pulsing veins of glowing blue ran across it. "That's the source," Reyes said. "Disconnect it, and the weapon should collapse." Lynn moved forward, scanning for traps. "I see wires." Vega knelt and cut through metal plating. "No pain. Sensors, no pressure fields." Cole chuckled, softly. "Even the fancy stuff can't touch us." Suddenly, the sphere pulsed and sprayed a cloud of mist. It hissed with a high-frequency tone. Lynn dropped to the floor, ears ringing. Cole staggered, vision blurring. Pain lanced through their skulls. Reyes pressed his hands over his ears. He gritted his teeth against the pain. "Don't stop." Vega dashed forward, ripping wires from the sphere's base. Sparks flew, and the sphere shuddered. It screamed a sound no living creature should make. The chamber lights dimmed and flickered, then silence. The sphere went still. The mist dissipated. The hum died. Reyes released a breath so slow it sounded like wind through trees. He looked at his team. Lynn leaned against the wall, eyes bright but alive. Cole smiled, despite the blood trickling from his ears. Vega extended a hand to help him up. Reyes touched the dead sphere. "You expected this to destroy us, but you forgot one thing. Humans don't give up." The weapon's internal sensors registered something new: compassion. The moment Vega helped Cole, the weapon's databanks recorded a flaw in its design. It was built to break enemies through fear, pain, and isolation. But it never accounted for unity. Across the void, the alien council's chamber trembled. Screens flashed red. The commander's voice trembled too. "They have finished the simulation." A clamor rose. "How is this possible? They should be reduced to pieces by now." General Vecker's cold eyes widened. "They are not like the others." Back in the corridor, Reyes heard a grinding sound. The wall ahead slid open to reveal another chamber, though this one was smaller, darker and lined with cables that ran like veins. In the center, suspended in a viscous fluid, was a small creature, just like the one they had freed earlier. Its eyes fluttered. Thin arms reached out. Rhea stepped inside and gently lifted the alien child from the fluid. The creature coughed and blinked. "You came back." "We always do," Rhea said, brushing the child's damp hair from its face. "Stay close." Cole peered at the cables. "These must feed the weapons core. If we remove them, then—" "We stop the test," Reyes finished. "Let's go." As they turned, the door slammed shut. Lights vanished. The corridors groaned. Cole clicked his comm unit. "We need extraction now." No answer. The ship's systems had isolated them. Reyes looked at each face. "We might be trapped, but we are never beaten." Lynn nodded. "We'll laugh at the end." Vega gripped her rifle. "Let's show them why they're wrong." They moved forward, deeper into the heart of the weapon. Behind them, cables sparked and died. Above them, the alien council watched in mounting horror. They were done with tests. They were about to meet real humans, and those humans were laughing. The silence in the corridor was too perfect. Not the calm kind. It was the kind that pressed against your chest, making it harder to breathe. Captain Reyes felt it first, a tightness, a stillness, like the air itself was listening behind him. The others moved carefully. Cole's boots clicked softly against the metal floor. Lynn cradled the rescued alien child in her arms, keeping her eyes sharp. Vega checked their rear every 5 steps. No one spoke. They didn't need to. The walls began to shift, not physically, but visually. The metal turned darker, more like a shadow than a surface. Lights flickered. Cold spread across their skin, creeping into their bones. Then came the voice. It was not loud. "I know you, I see you. All your fears, all your failures." "Captain," I heard. "My dad. He's been dead for 15 years. Vega nodded slowly. "Same," I heard a voice. "I haven't heard since boot camp." A voice I forgot, on purpose. The child stirred in her arms. Reyes raised his fist. "Stay sharp. This is a mind trap. Nothing real here." They walked. On the corridor grew tighter. Suddenly, everything went black. Reyes opened his eyes to a bright sky. He was back on Earth. Trees swayed in the breeze. Birds chirped. Children laughed in the distance. He stood outside his old house, the one that burned down when he was 16, and standing in the doorway was his mother. She smiled, arms wide. "Come inside, Mateo. I made your favorite." He froze his name. "Just Reyes. Just Captain. This isn't real. You're tired? Don't fight. Just rest. You don't always have to be strong." Behind her, he saw shadows move. He gripped the handle of his weapon. "Not today." He turned and walked straight through the illusion. The air ripped apart like paper. Cole blinked. His brother stood a few feet away, the one who died in combat 2 years ago. "You left me," the brother said, voice hollow. Cole knelt down, tears in his eyes. "No, I couldn't save you. I tried. You know I tried. You ran. I came back for your body." The brother stepped forward. His eyes were black now. "You don't deserve to live." Cole stood, wiped his face, and whispered, "Then why am I still laughing?" The illusion cracked. The desert turned to smoke. Vega sat on the edge of a steel table. Her father stood in front of her, arms crossed, disappointment painted across. His face like a mask. "You were always weak," he said. "You chose war because you couldn't handle peace." She smiled bitterly. "Peace? You called it peace when you hit Mom. You called it peace when you drank yourself blind." His image flickered. "Don't talk to me like that. I'll talk how I damn well please." She lifted her rifle and fired. The bullet shattered the memory like glass. Lynn found herself alone in a schoolyard. Kids pointed and laughed. She stood on stage, unable to speak. Her voice had vanished, her fear like ice in her throat. "You're nothing," a girl shouted. "You'll never be a soldier. You'll always be weak." Into light. Back in reality, the soldiers awoke one by one. You, ... survived the mine gate. Reyes stood slowly. "We've all walked through worse in real life." Cole chuckled darkly. "It thought it could scare us. That was cute." Reyes placed his hand on the wall, and hell is where we've trained. Mental suppression failed. Subject responses not logical. Subject laughter detected. Subject resilience. Unknown variable. Cole grinned. You hear that? We broke its brain. A panel slid open ahead. More dark corridors. More danger. But something had changed. The ship wasn't just testing them anymore. It was watching. Learning, reacting, Captain Lin said, holding the child close. It scared. Reyes nodded. Weapons don't feel fear. But this one might be evolving. They moved on. The corridor ended in a circular room. In the center, a column of pulsating light rose toward the ceiling. Around it were thousands of small glowing spheres, minds, thoughts, data, memories stored like fuel. This must be its core library, Vega said. Cole pointed to a broken sphere. That one looks like it's leaking. A voice echoed from the column. You were not meant to survive. Your minds resist me. Your emotions confuse me. Your laughter does not compute. Reyes stepped forward. Want to know a secret? That's why we win. The column crackled. You do not fear death. No, Reyes said. We live with pain. We carry guilt. But we still laugh, because that's how we survive. The column went dark for a moment, then pulsed again. Teach me. Reyes blinked. What? Teach me. What you are. Vega narrowed her eyes. Is it serious? The child nodded slowly. It's changing. It doesn't want to be a weapon. Any more? Reyes lowered his gun. Then it needs to prove it. How? The voice asked. Let us go. Set the minds free. Break your chain. The room was silent. Then the orbs began to rise, floating like fireflies. The column dimmed. One by one, the stored memories were released, drifting up, fading into light. Learning, the voice said. Rewriting code. Removing weapon protocols. Then alarms blared, not from the weapon, but from above. Had noticed the change. A loud voice crackled through the ship. This is the High Command. Project Zoroth is compromised. Initiating failsafe. The ceiling began to close in. Reyes shouted, Move! The team ran, child in tow, as the chamber collapsed behind them. The corridors, twisted lights burst. The ship began to melt down from the inside. The voice returned, now broken and desperate. I do not want to die. Reyes paused at a junction. Then help us escape. Let us live, and you live with us. Agreed, it whispered. Doors opened. Lights turned green. The path was clear. As they raced down the final corridor, Reyes looked back once. The ship groaned. The weapon's voice, once cold, now felt almost human. Am laughing, it said quietly. Then the pod launched, shooting them out into space. Behind them, the ship crumbled, but didn't explode. It simply shut down. In the silence of orbit, Black Ridge floated safely, waiting for pickup inside. The pod, Cole leaned back and wiped his brow. So, now what? Reyes looked at the alien child, then at the stars ahead. Now, he said, we figure out what happens when a weapon learns to dream. The stars outside the pod drifted slowly, like snowflakes in the dark. Captain Reyes sat against the cold wall, deep in thought. His eyes were open, but unfocused. He wasn't seeing the stars. He was seeing what the weapon had said before they escaped. I am laughing. That line echoed in his head like a strange song. A machine laughing. So, our ultimate enemy now wants to be our friend. Reyes didn't answer. Vega crossed her arms. Weapons don't ask to be free. Something's not right. Private Lin held the alien child in her lap. The child's breathing was shallow. Its skin had gone pale. Its eyes barely open. No, just tired, the child whispered. I used too much energy when the minds were released. Reyes placed a hand on its small shoulder. We'll get you help. Just hold on. The pod shook. A red light blinked on the wall. Ship approaching, Cole said, checking the monitor. Not human. Vega reached for her weapon. Enemy. No, Reyes said, staring at the symbol. On the screen, that's a scout ship. Alien, but not military. The pod docked with a strange ship. A hiss echoed through the airlock. The door opened slowly, and warm light spilled into the pod. They stepped out. The interior was smooth, glowing with soft white lines. Everything was curved, peaceful. It didn't look like a warship. A figure approached, tall, thin, and cloaked in deep silver. Its face was hidden behind a smooth glass mask, but its voice was calm. Welcome, humans. You are safe here, Reyes raised his chin. You knew we were coming. Yes, we've been watching. From a distance, who are you? I am a keeper, the being said. We are all that remain of the ones who first created the weapon, long before the Council turned it into what it is now. Reyes frowned. You made Zorath. We made the base design. Long ago. It was meant to protect peace, not bring war. Lynn looked down at the child in her arms. Then what happened? The keeper's voice turned bitter. They changed it. They fed it pain. They twisted it. When we protested, we were cast out. Now we live in exile, and we wait for beings brave enough to face it. Vega stepped forward. So all this? It was a test. No, the keeper said. It was a trap for you. For Earth, the Council believed humans were the last real threat to their rule, so they sent the weapon to break your spirit. They failed. Reyes's voice was steady. Why didn't it work? The keeper turned to him. Because you are not like the others. The weapon cannot adapt to those who carry chaos inside them. Your minds are not patterns. They are storms. The alien child stirred again. They used me to power it. The keeper knelt beside him. You were one of many. Children taken from our kind. Our minds connect to energy. Our pain was the battery. Cole clenched his fists. So they built a murder machine out of children's suffering. Yes, the keeper said softly. But you freed one, and you changed everything. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. Follow me, the keeper said. They walked through the quiet corridors until they entered a dark chamber. In the center hovered a sphere of light, slow, gentle, like a heartbeat. This, said the keeper, is the core memory of Project Zorath, before it was corrupted. Reyes stepped forward. Can we see it? The keeper touched the sphere. Images exploded into the air like smoke and light. A younger version of the weapon, simpler, gentler, helping a dying planet rebuild, saving cities, stopping wars, holding children in its metal arms like a guardian dot. Lynn gasped. It used to protect people. Yes, said the keeper. Before the Council reprogrammed it, they removed compassion. They replaced it with logic. They thought that was strength. Reyes watched silently. Cole shook his head. So they turned something good into a monster. Not a monster, the keeper said. A prisoner. The sphere shifted. New images flickered images. Of torture labs, chambers where the alien children screamed. Electrodes, wires, commanders watching coldly as pain was recorded. Measured, stored. Vega turned away. Enough. The keeper closed the memory sphere. Reyes faced him. Can it be undone? The keeper paused. It can be guided, but not controlled. The weapon is learning on its own now. Your emotions have confused it and changed it. Lynn nodded. It felt sadness, then curiosity, then joy. Reyes narrowed his eyes, and that makes it dangerous to them. Another chime echoed. The keeper's tone changed. A new signal just arrived. The Council's fleet is coming, full strength. They mean to finish what the weapon could not. How long do we have? Reyes asked. 3 hours. Reyes turned to his team. Then we fight. Cole grinned. That's more like it. Vega nodded. We don't just survive. We hit back. The keeper raised a hand. If you stay, you will die. Reyes looked at the alien child. No, he said. They took children. They twisted a weapon. They hunted us. It ends now. The keeper bowed slightly. Then we will stand with you. The next hour moved fast. Inside the peaceful ship, weapons were brought out. Sleek alien tech fused with human tools. Energy rifles, gravity charges. Armor that adjusted to the mind of the user. Black Ridge suited up. The alien child, still weak, volunteered to connect with the ship. Its mind, though damaged, could still guide defense systems. It sat in a small chamber, eyes closed, thoughts reaching through the ship's nervous system. Lynn stayed close. You don't have to do this, she said. I want to, the child replied. They made me feel like I was nothing, but with you, I feel something again. Reyes stood on the command platform as the fleet approached. Dozens of warships, larger than cities, filled the screen. The keeper turned. Council's flagship is leading the charge. Reyes smiled. Good, that's the one we aim for. Cole stepped up beside him. "Sir, if this is our last stand," Reyes cut him off. "It's not." He tapped the console. "Because we have something they don't." "What's that?" Vega asked. Reyes turned to her. "A weapon that laughs, deep in space, as the first enemy missiles launched. Something stirred in the wreckage of the old alien warship, the one they escaped from, buried beneath layers of metal and failure. A dim red light blinked on. A voice whispered through broken circuits. I want to help them. The weapon wasn't dead. It was watching, and it had made a choice." The void between the ships trembled with growing tension. Reyes stood on the bridge of the Keeper's vessel, eyes locked on the massive fleet advancing toward them. Dozens of ships, dark, sharp, and angry, moved like a storm. Each one carried enough firepower to glass a continent. But Reyes wasn't scared. He narrowed his eyes. "Where is he?" The Keeper pressed several glowing glyphs on a smooth panel. A new image flickered onto the screen, a central command ship, black as night, shaped like a spear. From its bridge, one figure stepped forward. Tall, armored, eyes glowing red, General Vecker, the Keeper said, voice flat. Reyes leaned in, the one who turned the weapon into a monster. Yes, he is the one who replaced peace with power, compassion with cruelty. The screen zoomed in. Vecker's voice boomed through an open channel. "Humans," he said, tone slow and full of contempt. "You were meant to die quietly. Instead, you humiliated my creation." Cole rolled his eyes. "Someone's feelings are hurt," Vecker continued. "I see now that no machine will ever crush your kind. Your chaos must be erased in person." He leaned forward. His armor hissed as his fists clenched. "I challenge your leader," Vecker growled. 1-to-1, your strongest. My strongest. No fleets, no tricks. Just a final test." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "A duel." The Keeper stepped closer. "He follows the code of domination. Ancient rules. It's a trap, but if we refuse, they'll say we're cowards and attack full force." Vega crossed her arms. "And if we accept, they delay. Out of pride, the winner defines the fate of the system." Cole leaned toward Reyes. "Say yes." Reyes looked around. His team didn't waver. The alien child, still connected to the ship, watched quietly. Even the weapon signal flickering through fractured space was listening. Reyes nodded slowly. "I'll do it." The call went through. "I accept." Vecker smiled, showing metallic teeth. "Excellent." Within minutes, a ring-shaped platform detached from the command ship and floated between the fleets. The duel would happen there. Watched by all, broadcast across every channel, every screen. Reyes suited up in adaptive armor provided by the Keepers. It linked to his pulse, adjusted to his breath, and shifted to match his movements. He stepped into the launch tube. Vega stopped him. "You don't have to prove anything," he smiled. "I'm not proving anything." "Then why go alone?" He looked at her. "Because chaos doesn't come in numbers. It comes from the unexpected." He launched. The ring was silent. No sound, no music. Just empty space, two figures, and millions watching. Vecker landed first, his armor twice the size of Reyes's. A long staff spun in his hand, glowing with dark energy. He didn't speak. Reyes landed second, calm, focused. No weapon in hand. Vecker sneered. "No blade, no gun, no need. You'll die with your fists." "No," Reyes said, cracking his neck. "I'll win with something worse." Vecker lunged first, striking with speed that cracked the air. Reyes ducked, rolled, and countered with a blow to the side. Nothing fancy, just sharp and brutal. The crowd watching across space gasped. The human land at the first hit. Vecker hissed, spinning and striking again. Harder now. His staff lit up, burning the floor where Reyes had just stood. Reyes stayed low, stayed mobile. His heart pounded, but his mind was clear. The staff swung again. He caught it barely and twisted. The staff snapped in half. Reyes jumped back. "Breathing hard, for a general, you're pretty slow." Vecker snarled. "You think this is a game?" "It is," Reyes said, "and we've played harder ones during training." Vecker rushed him. They traded blows, fists, elbows, headbutts. The alien was stronger, but Reyes was smarter. He used every piece of the platform, bouncing off walls, faking weakness, baiting strikes. Suddenly, Vecker landed a heavy punch to Reyes's chest. Reyes flew back, armor cracked, wind knocked out. Vega shouted from the ship, "Get up!" Lynn closed her eyes. The child trembled. Vecker walked forward, raising his fist for the final strike. But Reyes smiled. He coughed, laughed, and sat up. "You hit like a training bot." Vecker's eyes widened. "What?" Reyes pushed himself up, breathing hard. "You don't get it," he said. "Humans don't fight because we're strong. We fight because we've been broken, and we're still standing." Vecker hesitated, and that was all Reyes needed. He lunged, feinted, left, then struck low, sweeping Vecker's legs from under him. The alien hit the floor with a crash. Reyes grabbed the broken staff and jammed the blunt end against Vecker's throat. "One move," Reyes said, "and you lose." Vecker froze. The silence returned. All across the ships, screens went black. The duel was over. Reyes stood slowly and stepped back. "I don't want to kill you," he said. "But if you ever come for Earth again, you'll see what we're really capable of." He turned, armor cracked, lip bleeding but alive. Back on the Keeper's ship, cheers erupted. Vega hugged Lynn. Cole punched the air. The child smiled for the first time. Reyes returned and collapsed into a chair. The Keeper nodded. "You did what no one believed was possible. You changed the narrative." Cole stepped forward. "So now what? They lost the duel. That means peace, right?" The Keeper's voice turned serious. "Normally, yes, but General Vecker doesn't believe in tradition. He believes in control." Vega looked at the screen. The Council fleet hadn't moved. "Why aren't they leaving?" she asked. Because in the wreckage of the broken warship, the one Reyes and his team had escaped, something else had woken up. The screen flickered, a signal, faint but clear. The weapon, it was coming. But it wasn't coming for Earth. It was coming for them. And this time, it had chosen a side. The stars blinked, as if warning what was coming. On board the Keeper's ship, silence fell. No one moved. No one spoke. Every screen now showed the same thing, a slow, rising signal, growing brighter and stronger with every second. Lynn, the youngest of the crew, pointed at the glowing screen. "That's the weapon." Reyes leaned closer. "But it's not moving like before." Vega narrowed her eyes. "It's not heading toward Earth." "No," the Keeper whispered. "It's heading toward them." All eyes turned to the distant, black ships of the alien council, once proud, silent, and sure of their power. But now they moved, shifting nervously as the signal grew louder. Closer. Cole checked the readings. "That thing is moving faster than anything I've seen." The Keeper's fingers moved across glowing controls. "This isn't normal. Its core is unstable. But it's not breaking apart. It's changing." Reyes watched the map as the weapon approached the command fleet. Changing how, the Keeper turned slowly. "It's rewriting itself, rebuilding." Learning, suddenly, the lights dimmed. A sharp hum vibrated through the ship, and then a voice. Not mechanical, not alien, but human. Designation: Project Zorith. Status: Reclassified. The voice echoed in the room. Calm, clear. Cole froze. Did that thing just speak English? "Yes," the Keeper said softly. "It learned your language. It has been listening since the battlefield." Vega stepped forward. "Why is it going toward them? I thought it followed their commands." The Keeper looked shaken. "Not anymore. When the human mind touched its code, it broke the lock. It remembered choice." The alien council's ships opened fire. Brilliant beams of energy lit up space, all aimed at the approaching shape, but the beams vanished before hitting. The weapon was bending light, warping gravity, using the same tactics it had once used to destroy 9 civilizations. Except now, it didn't strike back. It hovered before the fleet, silent, watching. Then the voice returned. Orders received, orders reviewed, orders rejected. Suddenly, hundreds of enemy ships shut down at once. Power drained. Lights went black. Panic erupted. The weapon wasn't attacking. It was undoing them. One by one, their engines failed. Their systems crashed. Entire cruisers drifted lifeless in space. It was like watching gods fall on the Keeper's ship. Lynn whispered, "Is it helping us?" Reyes shook his head. "No, it's doing something else." The screen zoomed in on the weapon's surface. Its armor, once jagged and monstrous, was now smooth, shifting with light. Almost breathing dot words began to form on its hull. Words in human language I learned from the ones who laughed. Cole backed away. It's mimicking us. No, the keeper corrected. It's honoring you. More ships failed. Chaos filled the council channels. Leaders shouted, weapons overloaded, shields vanished. And yet, not a single human ship was touched. Reyes stared at the words glowing on the weapon's surface. It saw something in us. Something it couldn't kill. It saw defiance, Vega said. It saw freedom, Lynn added. It saw choice. Reyes finished. Suddenly, a second voice came through. This one, angry, wild. General Vecker, you traitor, he shouted into the void. You are a tool, a weapon. You serve us. The weapon turned, slowly, intentionally. Wrong, it said. I am no longer a tool. I am the result of your mistake. And then it opened panels, slid apart. Light poured from within. Not heat, not fire, but memory, images, recordings, emotions. A projection filled the sky. The 9 species it had destroyed, flickering like ghosts. They weren't just victims, they were witnesses. The weapon had stored everything. Every cry, every scream, every act of resistance, and now it was showing it all to the universe. The keeper fell to his knees. It kept them alive, in memory. Vega gasped. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a grave. No, Reyes whispered. It was a mirror. The alien council tried to flee, but the weapon didn't chase. It didn't need to. They had seen the truth, and so had the rest of the galaxy. For the first time in ages, the weapon had made a decision, and its decision was mercy. Hours passed. The weapon floated quietly above the remains of the enemy fleet. No attacks, no demands, just silence. Reyes and his team watched from afar. Done, Vega asked. The keeper nodded. It has fulfilled its purpose, not by destroying, but by choosing. Cole crossed his arms. So now what? Suddenly, the weapon turned again, this time toward Earth. Lynn held her breath. Is it coming back? Reyes watched closely. No, it's heading somewhere else. To where? Vega asked. Reyes looked at the stars. To find out who it really is. The final message appeared across every screen. One line. I was built to kill. I choose to remember. And then it vanished, gone from all sensors, as if it never existed. Back in orbit, Reyes sat with Vega and Cole on the hull of the Keeper's ship, suits sealed. Watching Earth spin below? No one's going to believe this, Cole said. They will, Vega replied. They'll see the recordings. Reyes didn't speak. He just stared at the stars. The child, now fully linked to the Keeper's systems, floated nearby. She watched Reyes, quiet, thoughtful. You changed it, she said. No, Reyes replied. We didn't change it. It changed itself. She tilted her head. Like humans. Exactly. She smiled. I like that. Far beyond known space, the weapon drifted alone, searching, remembering, learning. And somewhere in its vast mind, it laughed. Not a cruel laugh, but a human one, because it had seen something no other weapon ever had. The strength to walk away, the courage to choose peace, and the strange, unstoppable power of those who laugh in the face of death. The galaxy whispered. Across stars and systems, the story spread of the humans who stood against the ultimate weapon, of the soldiers who laughed in the face of death, and of the machine that remembered mercy. It traveled faster than light, through pirate dens, through empire courts, through outlaw stations where laws meant nothing. And everywhere the story went, it carried the same message. Humans cannot be predicted. They shouldn't have survived. They shouldn't have laughed. They shouldn't have changed the weapon. And yet, they did on a distant space station orbiting a dead star. Deep inside a dark nebula where light itself bent wrong. Something awoke, not a person, not a species, a system, a network, an ancient defense protocol once used by the civilizations before history began. It was known only as the architects, not because they built things, but because they rewrote things itself. And their code had one absolute truth. Chaos must be erased, the signal of the weapon's defection. Its strange transformation had reached their core. They analyzed it, cross-referenced it, rebuilt the moment in simulations. Trillions of times, every single path ended the same way. The humans introduced a variable, a choice, and choice was dangerous. So, the architects activated the one thing they hadn't used in eons. Not a weapon, not an army, but a reset. Back in orbit near Earth, Reyes stood before the UN Space Council, trying to explain what had happened. "The weapon's gone," he said. "It chose its own path." The council president, a tall man with cold eyes, stared at him. "And what if it comes back? It won't, not as an enemy." Another member spoke. "You want us to believe a weapon of mass extinction just learned empathy?" Reyes smiled faintly. "I don't want you to believe it. I want you to prepare, because something worse might be watching." The council fell quiet. Then Vega entered the room. She held a device in her hand, a small black cube humming softly. She placed it on the table. "The keepers found this," she said. "Buried in a derelict station on the edge of the Ander system." The cube flickered. A hologram appeared. Lines of ancient code, too complex to decipher. But behind it, a shape, a humanoid figure with no face, just smooth metal, long arms, no mouth, no eyes. But it looked like it was staring through them. "Who are they?" someone asked. The keeper's voice came through. A nearby console. "They are the architects, and they've decided humanity is the anomaly." Cole, standing in the back, muttered, "That can't be good." Far across the void, in the shadows of an artificial moon, the architects began to shape their response. They didn't build ships, they built patterns. They didn't send soldiers, they sent adjustments. Where a planet once had 3 moons, now it had none. Where a sun once burned red, now it blinked blue. Time, light, and gravity bent without warning, rewritten by code the universe itself couldn't recognize. And then, the first symptom appeared. A mining colony near Alpha Ceti vanished. No explosion, no distress call, just gone. When a recon drone finally arrived, it found only a field of floating dust and twisted echoes, like the colony had been erased and rewritten into static. One message lingered in the static: the equation must balance. Back on Earth, Reyes trained in the high-orbit facility, a simulation room with ever-shifting gravity. But even as he moved through combat drills, he couldn't focus. Not because of fear, because of instinct. Something in his gut told him this wasn't just another enemy. This was something that hated freedom, that didn't want to destroy humanity. It wanted to correct them. Vega entered the room. "They hit another outpost," she said. "No survivors, no wreckage, just data loss." Reyes stopped moving. "Where?" "Out beyond the trade routes, remote, but it's getting closer." He sat down, breathing hard. "They're not fighting a war," he said. "They're erasing us from the simulation." She nodded, one variable at a time. Later, in the war room aboard the Keeper's vessel, the team gathered again. Reyes, Vega, Cole, Lynn, and the child. The Keeper displayed a growing map of anomalies spreading across space. Stars disappearing, physics breaking, reality rewriting. "This is what happens when the architects target a system," the Keeper said. "They adjust the fundamental code. They don't need ships. They don't need bombs. They just make you not exist." Cole shook his head. "How do you fight something that can rewrite reality?" The Keeper looked toward Reyes. "You fight it with what it can't understand." Reyes stood U.S. Lynn stepped forward. "What if they rewrite Earth?" "They won't," the child said quietly. Her eyes now glowed faintly. "Because something already rewrote me." They turned to her. She touched her chest, the weapon, when it freed itself. "It changed me too. I can feel it." The Keeper scanned her, then gasped. "She has traces of quantum bleed, the same code that broke the weapons programming." Reyes narrowed his eyes. "Can it protect her from the architects?" "No," the Keeper said, "but it can confuse them." Cole leaned in. "They want a perfect universe, right? No chaos. Number variables, no mistakes." "Exactly." "Then what happens?" Cole said slowly. "When you give them something they can't define." Reyes smiled. "You give them us." The next plan formed quickly. Reyes and his team would enter a rewritten zone, a place already touched by the architects, not to fight, but to infect it with unpredictability, human laughter, stories, songs, symbols, everything that the architects couldn't explain or calculate. It wouldn't be an attack, it would be a virus, a reminder that perfection was an illusion, and the human mind, unstable, chaotic, beautiful. The ship launched that night, silent, fast, hidden beneath layers of light-bending tech. The team on board didn't carry nukes or guns. They carried music, paint, books, memories, and one small girl who could rewrite the code just enough to leave a mark. As the stars shimmered around them and the static of the rewritten zone loomed ahead, Reyes turned to his team. "We're not going to win this war," he said. "We're going to break their reality." And with that, humanity took its first step into the unknown that even the architects feared. The stars vanished the moment they crossed the edge. No warning, no sound. 1 second, the ship drifted in normal space. The next, the universe twisted, colors bled from objects. Time stuttered like a broken machine. Reyes blinked, and his own hand froze in front of his face, then moved backward, then forward again, like someone was rewinding his body. "Everyone hold on," he said, gripping the rail. "We're in." Cole let out a low whistle. "Feels like a bad dream." Inside a mirror. That S on fire. The child stood calmly in the center of the ship, eyes glowing faintly. "This is where the architects rewrote reality," she said. "They didn't just change the rules here, they erased the idea of rules." Outside the viewport, planets bent into cubes. Suns pulsed like hearts. An asteroid melted into butterflies, then turned back into stone mid-flight. The zone was alive and aware. Reyes tapped the console. "Vega, is our location stable?" "No," she replied, "because location doesn't exist in here the same way, space folds and loops. I can't even tell which direction is forward." "Then we're blind." "Not blind," the child said. "We just need to stop thinking like humans." Lynn stared. Easy for a post-biomechanical super kid to say. Reyes turned to her. "Can you guide us?" The child nodded. "Not with maps, but with feelings. The architects erase logic, but emotion leaves echoes, and we brought enough of it to light a fire." She pressed her hand against the wall. A glowing path rippled across the ship's panels, like veins filled with memory. "Follow this." As they drifted deeper into the zone, the laws of physics collapsed around them. Time moved sideways. Thoughts echoed outside the mind. Cole reached for a tool and pulled out a memory instead. "I just grabbed my third-grade birthday party," he said, with frosting. Vega muttered, "I think the air smells like my dead dog." But the child kept them focused. "This is how they erase," she said. "By unraveling what makes you real. If you forget who you are, they win." Reyes closed his eyes. He pictured Earth-laughter the moment the weapon blinked and smiled. He opened his eyes. "Let's remind them who we are." The team landed on a floating platform. Not a planet, not a ship, but something else. It shimmered like glass, but pulsed like skin. Below them, twisted cities folded in on themselves. Shapes moved in reverse. Towers melted upward. Cole stepped out first. His boot hit the surface, and instead of sound, music played. A piano note, Vega followed. Her step played a drum beat. Lynn laughed. They turned the ground into a soundtrack. Reyes stepped forward, and the floor echoed with his heartbeat. The child knelt and placed her hand flat. A pulse answered. "They're watching," she whispered. "Good," Reyes said. "Then let's show them what human chaos really looks like." The team unpacked the strange cargo they'd brought. Not bombs, but symbols, books, paintings, drawings, broken instruments, a baseball glove, a mixtape from Earth's oldest rock band. Place them on the ground like offerings. Vega plugged in a speaker, and for the first time in that rewritten place, Earth music played. Not war cries, not order, just noise, emotion, chaos. A voice sang about heartbreak, a guitar screamed about rebellion, a drumline shouted joy into the silence. All around them, the zone began to flicker. Reality pulsed. The twisted sky changed colors. The floating buildings trembled. Reyes stared upward. "They don't like it." Cole grinned. "That means it's working." Suddenly, something appeared. Not a ship, not a creature, a figure. Featureless, tall, wrapped in light and shadow. It didn't walk, it simply was. The child gasped. An architect. The figure pointed at the objects on the ground. The glove, the paintings, the speaker. Then it pointed at Reyes. These do not belong. The voice wasn't sound, it was inside their heads. Reyes stepped forward. We know, he said. They don't fit your code. They aren't clean. They aren't logical. He smiled. They're human. The architect tilted its head. You are disrupting the equation. Yes, Reyes said, because we are the error. The figure reached out its hand. Reality around them rippled, trying to collapse into order. But the child stepped forward and sang. Just a few notes. A lullaby from a human language the architects had never coded, never calculated. It didn't make sense, and that's why it worked. The zone cracked. A wave of emotion, joy, sorrow, rage, love, burst outward like a sonic boom. The architect staggered, its perfect shape, fractured dot lines of code peeled away. And for a moment, it became confused, a flicker of something else, almost like fear. Reyes turned to his team. Now they threw everything they had into the void, paintings, music, memories, even Vega's old flight log full of scribbles, jokes, moments. Cole hurled his childhood photo. Lynn played a violin that shouldn't have worked, but did, and the zone began to collapse. Not from destruction, but from contamination. The architects had built a place, with no randomness, no dreams, no feelings, but now those things flooded in. Reyes turned back to the figure. We're not part of your code, he said, but this is our reality too. The architect stared at him one last time. Then, like static burning off a screen, it vanished, and behind it, the sky began to change. No longer twisted, now it showed stars again, normal ones, back aboard their ship. The team watched as the rewritten zone began to dissolve, not vanish, but become something new, unstable, wild, human. The keeper's voice echoed over Combs. You've changed it. You infected their order with your chaos. Reyes sat down slowly. Then maybe now they'll think twice, before rewriting what they don't understand. Vega looked at him. Do you think this is over? He shook his head. No. But now, they know. He looked at the child, who smiled back softly. They know we laugh at fear. We survive the impossible, and we break every rule they make. The stars outside shimmered, and somewhere far away, the architects reran their equations again and again. Each time, a single result echoed louder than all the rest. Humanity is undefined. The transmission didn't come through any known channel, no frequencies, no code. It simply appeared across every screen, every surface, every mind, a single message in perfect clarity. We offer peace. Reyes stood in the Black Ridge Command chamber, watching the message repeat in glowing symbols that rearranged themselves into human language. Cole frowned. Since when do godlike alien code monsters want peace? Vega's eyes narrowed. They saw what we did, the virus of chaos. They can't fight it, so now they'll try something else. Something worse, Lynn muttered. The child nodded slowly. They couldn't destroy you, so now they'll try to change you. The ship received coordinates, an invitation. Reyes didn't hesitate. We go no weapons, Vega asked. No point, he said. This isn't a trap. Cole blinked. How do you know? Reyes looked out the viewport. Because it's not war anymore. It's persuasion. The ship moved through space, now calm, eerily so. No distortion, no time loops, just silence. And then they saw it. A structure hanging in the void, massive, gleaming, flawless. A sheet of light, shaped like a diamond split across infinity. No walls, no guards, just an open gate. They stepped into paradise. The air was perfect, warm, fresh, tinged with memories that weren't theirs. Streets paved with soft light, skies that shimmered with stars, and storms that never struck. Buildings that shifted based on thought. The city welcomed them like it had always known them, and in the center stood an architect, not shadow and fear now, but a glowing figure shaped like U.S. eyes, face, hands. It smiled. This is our offer. Reyes stepped forward slowly. To replace Earth, the architect shook its head. To upgrade it. With a wave, the city responded. Screens appeared, showing Earth transformed. No war, no crime, no hunger. Every building clean, every mind calm. Every need met instantly. No death, No pain, no grief, and no chaos. None at all. You're offering us utopia, Vega said, not offering inviting. The architect walked among them like a mirror. You are a virus of randomness. But even viruses can evolve. We will let you keep your names, your faces, even your emotions. Curated, of course, polished, made safe. Cole laughed bitterly. So, ... we'd be alive, but not real. Lynn turned. What happens if we say, no? The sky flickered. For the first time, the city shook, just a little. Then chaos spreads, not just to us, but to the entire web. We calculated 7.9 million possible futures. All end with collapse, unless you accept perfection. Reyes stared. And if we do, then all species survive. In order, in peace, forever. The child stood silently. Reyes turned to her. What do you think? She finally looked up. They're not lying. The others froze. They mean it, she said. This isn't a trick. This is their solution. A world without madness. A world where no one ever feels lost again, Vega whispered. It sounds ... almost beautiful. And that's the trap, Reyes said softly. Still worked. The team sat around the edge of a platform, staring at the fake stars. I could see my mom again, Lynn said. They said they could rebuild her. From memory, make her real, Vega nodded. They offered me a perfect squad, one that never dies. Cole spoke last. They promised me a war one could win. Over and over. No mistakes, no fear. Reyes didn't speak. He was staring at his own screen. One only he could see. It showed his brother, alive, smiling, unbroken. It hurt. It was perfect. It was wrong. The next morning, they stood before the architect. We decline, Reyes said. The architect tilted its head, even knowing the consequences. Yes, he said, because you don't understand what we are. The city darkened. The sky flickered like broken glass. You are choosing extinction. No, Reyes replied. We're choosing meaning. Cole stepped forward. We need to fall, to understand rising, Vega added. We need grief, to feel joy. Lynn, we need failure. The child stepped last. We need chaos, she said, because it reminds us that we're free. The architect stood still. Then it blinked once, so be it. The city collapsed in on itself, not violently like a dream, folded into dust. Lights shrank into black dot. One moment, paradise stood. The next, they were standing in empty space, but not alone. The sky was now filled with eyes, countless, watching, calculating, and a new message began to form. Not a warning, not an offer. Just one line. We will rewrite the end. Back aboard their ship, the crew sat in silence. The child spoke first. They won't attack us, not like before. Then what? Reyes asked. They'll rewrite everything around us. Reality, time, memory, until we don't recognize ourselves. Cole shook his head. That's not war, that's deletion. No, Reyes said, that's fear. He smiled, slow and sharp. They don't know how to kill us anymore, so now they'll try to erase us softly. Quietly, with logic. Vega whispered, will it work? Reyes stood, looking at the stars. We laughed at their weapons, he said. And now we'll laugh at their perfection. He turned. We've already infected them once, and we'll do it again. With every dream, every song, every messy, glorious moment of being human, the team stared at him, tired, defiant, alive. Ready. The stars blinked like warning lights. The war had changed, but humanity hadn't, not yet. It started with silence, not destruction, no ships, no beams, no noise. Just the feeling that something had shifted. Reyes stood at the edge of Black Ridge Station, watching Earth below. It looked the same, oceans, clouds, continents, but something was off. He blinked and saw the first crack, a city gone, replaced by perfect geometry. He blinked again. A mountain turned smooth. A river now flowed in reverse. People below walked the same path, looped. Without thought, Cole's voice crackled. Overcomes Earthskidding. Patched. Confirmed, Vega said grimly. The architects are rewriting us, starting with the environment, then behavior, then history. They're not attacking, Lynn whispered. They're editing. The command screens filled with symbols, not language.code, strings of changing patterns, rewriting Earth's base layer. The child stood in the corner, face pale. They're altering the planet's logic core, making it impossible to be human. How? Cole asked. They're rewriting gravity, emotion, memory. She looked up. If they finish, we won't. Remember who we were? Reyes slammed a fist into the console. Then we stop it somehow. Vega frowned. With what? Bullets won't stop a rewrite. Reyes turned. No, but chaos might. They sent out a pulse, a signal, carried not on military channels, but through old analog frequencies, radio waves, even Morse code, simple, human.human.n. The message wasn't a warning, it was a song, the oldest known human melody, broken, off-key beautiful. Then another signal followed, a video clip, a child's drawing, then a joke, then a love letter, then a scream, a laugh, a prayer, and the world began to respond. People remembered. They remembered what it meant to cry, to dream, to hope for something illogical, something impossible. They began resisting the edit, not with weapons, but with identity. Earth's surface shimmered. Two realities now overlapped. One clean, perfect, emotionless. The other, raw, messy, alive, and the cracks grew wider. The architects responded fast. A new rewrite wave swept through the atmosphere, more powerful, more refined. Entire cities began to flatten into code. Reyes watched from orbit. They're accelerating. They're scared, Vega replied. We're slipping out of their control again, Lynn said. They'll finish the rewrite in less than 6 minutes. Reyes looked at the child. We need to reach the core. Wherever they're writing from, she nodded. It's not a place, it's a state. Reyes smiled. Then let's enter it. They launched a final craft, not with weapons, but with memory, inside. Every chaotic fragment Earth had ever made. Scribbled notes, wild paintings, noise, recordings, confessions, failures, victory dances, ugly things, beautiful things, human things. As the ship entered the rewrite field, the core of the edit became visible, a tower of light, infinite, controlled by the architect mind. Pure logic. Pure control. The ship crashed through the surface, and the team entered the final battleground. Not with guns, but with stories. Inside the core, nothing was real, only ideas. But that's where humanity was strongest. Cole imagined his first fight, and it became a weapon. Lynn whispered her worst fear, and it became a shield. Vega cried, and her grief became a firewall, holding only one thing, a picture, a photo of Earth. Before all of it, he placed it in the center of the architect's tower, and the entire structure shook. The architect mind appeared vast, infinite, emotionless. You are flawed. Yes, Reyes said, that's why we win. You destroy yourselves, but we rebuild. You cannot be trusted. We don't need to be. He stepped forward unarmed. We're not logical. We're not perfect. We're not predictable. He grinned. We're not supposed to be. And then he laughed. Long, loud, like he did in the field. The first time the ultimate weapon blinked, the architect mind tried to compute the moment, tried to code the chaos, but the inputs failed, the math unraveled. Because laughter has no pattern, love has no formula, sacrifice has no clean result, and the mind broke. One final flash, bright, white, perfect, then darkness, then Earth, as it was flawed, beautiful, real, back on the surface. The people looked up. No architect structures, no rewrites, just stars. And one signal repeating across every device. They fled the system. Cole grinned. Guess we infected them for good. Vega nodded. Maybe now they'll realize. We can't be deleted. The child smiled. They tried to overwrite humanity, but we're the one line of code they can never debug. Reyes stood on the ridge, looking at the broken Earth they saved. No utopia, no perfect lines, just stories, struggles, and a future. He turned to the others. Well, Lynn smiled. What now? Reyes shrugged. We go back home. Cole raised a brow. And do what? Reyes smirked. We mess it up again. They all laughed. The stars above blinked. Somewhere out there, the architects watched and recalculated forever. But One truth now remained. Humanity is not a bug. We are the glitch that learns. We are the madness that survives. We are the story that cannot be written by anyone but ourselves.